Good morning. This particular book here, it's in beautiful mint condition almost, uh, or excellent. I don't know what it'd be. It's just in really good condition for a book that's 52 years old. It was published 52 years ago. This is Equinox, Volume 1. Now, there are 10 numbered books in Equinox Volume 1. This is number 10, the last one, and arguably probably the thickest one. This is a 1972 edition, published by Weiser. At the time, it was called Samuel Weiser. Okay, and this was from the personal collection of a Haru Raha Lodge charter member who has now unfortunately passed on, Miss Sharon Sanders, who was one of our earliest and most beloved members. And her son, when she passed away, was kind enough to bequeath us her set of the Equinox. Now, I posted a picture on my Facebook page. If you're watching this on YouTube, I don't have a way to show you, but just a couple of minutes ago on my Facebook page, I posted a photograph of Caliph Hymenaeus Alpha, or Grady L. McMurtry. That was taken just a couple of years after he initiated me into the O.T.O. And the regalia that he is wearing was much like the regalia he was wearing when he initiated me in November 15th, 1975 in Dublin, California. Now, he looks gorgeous in that. And if you can imagine how I felt as a 24-year-old, no, was I 28? Whatever it was. I was a young, naive guy walking into that little garage temple in Dublin, and to be greeted with that radiant sight of Grady with that full beard and the turban and the jewel and that robe, and he had an inner robe that was striped in very oriental fashion. And he was seated at a small altar, which was set up for the particular accoutrements and furniture and instruments for the initiation. But in the centerpiece, and in the centerpiece of this photograph that I just posted, is two books standing upright like this on the altar. And the larger book was this one, Equinox, Volume 1, number 10. And propped up in front of it was the initiatory copy of the Book of the Law, which would feature in the initiation ceremony. That was indeed a bit redundant, because the Book of the Law is also included among the many works that are in Equinox Volume 1, number 10. And I'm going to take a sip of coffee here. And at the banquet that followed, well, it was a dinner. It was just Phyllis, Grady, and myself. And Phyllis made a wonderful, memorable. The memory of man is running not to the contrary. A memorable sort of Middle Eastern dish. And she knew that I was a vegetarian. So she sort of made a Middle Eastern chicken dish for she and Grady. And then she had eggplant and just other delicious meatless things to go with the rice and everything. And I recall that because I like spicy things. And she had made homemade chutney, which was spicy, and I could spice up my rice and stuff with this chutney. And the chutney was a recipe, and she showed me the paper. She had written down it was Jane's chutney recipe, and that's Jane Wolfe, who was for years was Phyllis's magical AA mentor. So it was Jane Wolfe's chutney. Yeah, it was quite a memorable experience. And I didn't really realize it at the time, but the dinner afterwards was still a part of the initiation. I know it was casual and everybody sort of broke character and everything else. But as the years go by, I realized that for that particular initiation, that the initiation doesn't stop until the dinner is over. And that dinner was extremely memorable. That's when Grady brought out the I Ching sticks, and I got to throw Crowley's I Ching sticks and read the oracle from Crowley's own I Ching copy of the leg I Ching. It was it was a magical evening, and Grady was still dressed in the turban and everything else, just looking like the rising sun there at the end of the table. And he brought out from the temple area, he brought out this book, and I asked him why was that particular book on the altar. And he said that it was a tradition established, at least in his mind, because he took his Minerval initiation from Wilfred Smith of Agape Lodge in Hollywood. So Agape Lodge did or offered the Minerval initiations ceremonies themselves, and I believe, but I can't, the first and second degrees. But I'm still unsure on how the first and second degrees were actually mounted technically. But Agape Lodge did initiate Minerval first and seconds. And other scholars can confirm whether they did thirds and stuff. Because in those days, the O.T.O was extremely tiny. And the only really going concern that was trying to at least function as Crowley envisioned the O.T.O to operate was happening in California. And he said Wilfred Smith insisted that this book be on the altar. And now I'm going into hearsay because Grady told me that Wilfred Smith told him that Grady told Wilfred Smith that you couldn't be an O.T.O lodge unless you had a complete set of the Equinox as in the lodge library, and that having number 10 on the altar was proof that you had the entire body of work that the O.T.O that Crowley wanted the O.T.O to have in its possession for study by its members. So that's that story. And I said, well, why? What does it have in it? And he's, well, and I'm going to share with you kind of what it has in it. First of all, it has the address and all the information. Now, this was published in 1913. He's got the announcement of the AA in it. Okay. And then he has this. The British section of the Order of Oriental Templars, the O.T.O, the MMM. Now it's just very short. It says, the premonstrator of the AA permits it to be known that there is not at present any necessary incompatibility between the AA and the O.T.O and MMM, and allows membership of the same as valuable preliminary training. This order in no way conflicts with or infringes the just privileges of the United Grand Lodge of England. That's Freemasonry. Does not conflict. And then there's a preamble to the O.T.O. Can you sort of see why it needs to be, or it deserves an honored place in an O.T.O initiation ritual? The Order of the Oriental Templars, Mysteria Mystica Maxima. That's the MMM. Preamble. During the last 25 years, okay, that's going back to 1890 something, okay. During the last 25 years, constantly increasing numbers of earnest people and seekers after the truth have been turning their attention to the study of the hidden laws of nature. The growth of interest in these matters has been simply marvelous. Numberless societies, associations, orders, groups, etc., have been found in all parts of the civilized world, all and each following some line of occult study. While all these newly organized associations do some good in preparing the minds of thoughtful people for their eventually becoming genuine disciples of the one truth, yet there is but one ancient organization of mystics which shows to the student a royal road to discover the one truth. And when he says one truth, it's always O and T for capital O and capital T. This organization has permitted the formation of a body known as, and this is all caps, the ancient order of Oriental Templars, unquote. This is a modern school of Magi. Like the ancient schools of Magi, it derived its knowledge from Egypt and Chaldea. This knowledge is never revealed to the profane, for it gives immense power either for good or evil to its possessors. Notice how Crowley is sort of getting on the same kind of mystical bandwagon as Martinism and the Golden Dawny kind of spooky mystical Oriental Genesis, but nevertheless, in its own way, absolutely true. This is recorded in symbol, parable, and allegory, requiring a key for its interpretation. The symbols of Freemasonry were originally derived from more ancient mysteries, as all who have traveled the burning sands know. The ritual and ceremonies, signs, and passwords have been preserved with great fidelity, but the real key has been long lost to the crowds who have been initiated, advanced, and raised in Masonry. The key to this knowledge can, however, be placed within the reach of all who unselfishly desire, study, and work for its possession. The symbols of ancient Masonry, the sacred art of the ancient Chemi, Egyptians, and Homer's golden chain are but different aspects of the one great mystery. They represent but different degrees of initiation. By right use of the key alone, the master word can be found. In order to afford genuine seekers after Hermetic truths some information on the aims and ancient order of Oriental Templars, we now print the preliminary instructions issued by the fratres of this order. Okay. Then it goes on with instructions to all to whom it may concern. Let it be known that there exists, unknown to the great crowd, a very ancient order of sages. Okay, and the lore is now spun, and so let's see at the very end. Well, anyway, that sets the stage for this new thing, the O.T.O. It's a new thing, or at least as Crowley is taking it. The next little section, and this is just sort of the introductory material, is in memorandum of John Yarker, famous Masonic historian and scholar that had passed away. And then this picture and the title page. The method of science, the aim of religion. Now, when I asked Grady why this was in here, he said, well, it had O.T.O, the announcement of O.T.O original material, and it has a complete copy of the Book of the Law, it has AA official syllabus of official instructions of the AA. It's got his mystery play, The Ship. It's awesome. Okay. The anthem from the Mass The Gnostic Mass comes from this mystery play, The Ship. Then it has the final installment. Well, it's got fragments of ritual, which was interesting because it was translated by a ninth degree O.T.O from a German manuscript, 2 fragments of ritual. There's a poem called The Disciples. Then there's the final installment of the Temple of Solomon the King, which is a series that runs throughout most of the numbers of volume 10. So then there's there's other stuff. Rosa Ignotia, Poems for Pilgrims, a section of poems by Victor Newberg. Okay. It's got stuff. Okay. Poems. It's got the game of Crowley, a card game. A poem called Boo to Buddha. And right after that, Hymn to Satan. I'll read Hymn to Satan to you as to close up here. But he also has his translation. Let's see if I can get a nice title page. His translation of Eliphas Levi's The Key of the Mysteries. Now, this takes up the rest of the book pretty near. How far does it go? Yeah, it goes pretty much to the end. Yeah. Which is a classic work. Weiser has for years published, and other publishers have published it in total by itself. Crowley's translation of it. But Crowley considered himself, if not technically the reincarnation of Eliphas Levi, but perhaps even technically, because he says he has memories of hanging around Paris in the years that Eliphas Levi lived and things like that. But he certainly considered himself the carrying on the work that Eliphas Levi started. I was talking to somebody the other day at the Swedenborgians. We were talking about Timothy Leary, and somebody asked, did Crowley did Leary consider himself the reincarnation of Aleister Crowley? And I don't think that would have been physically possible anyway, because they were alive at the same time there in the late 40s. And I said, no, because Leary never said that. He said Leary considered his own work as a continuation of the work that was started by Aleister Crowley, in the same way that Crowley thought that he was considering or continuing the work of Eliphas Levi. And so the whole Key of the Mysteries is in this volume. But right in the middle here, between the rules of Crowley Pool, which is a card game, and a poem called A Ballad of Bedlam. Bedlam, of course, is the insane asylum in England. Is this like 5-verse poem called Hymn to Satan, just to make sure that people would vilify Crowley forever. I adore thee, King of Evil. By the body thou hast fashioned in the likeness of a devil. By its purity impassioned, I adore thee, King of Evil. I adore thee, Lord of Malice. By the soul that thou hast molded, lovely as a lily chalice to the somber sun unfolded, I adore thee, Lord of Malice. By its thirst, the cruel craving for things infinite, unheard of, dreams devouring and depraving, songs no God may guess a word of, songs of crime and songs of craving. By the drear eyes of the devil, bleak and sterile as they glitter, I adore thee, King of Evil. With these lips as dry and bitter as drear eyes of the devil, I adore thee. I invoke thee. I abase myself before thee by the spells that once awoke the Lord of Chaos. I adore thee. I adore thee. I invoke thee. Anyway, there are great, great treasures throughout the Equinox, the set of the Equinoxes. It truly is a worthy attempt, or at least a colorful and art-filled attempt at fulfilling the motto of the method of science and the aim of religion. And Equinox, Volume 1, Number 10, is especially sacred to the O.T.O. That's it for today. Until tomorrow, continue to be good to yourself and be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law. Love under will.